Each trip to the grocery store these days feels more alarming than the last. The food prices are soaring, the robots are taking over, and the food shortages are coming. Turning down the aisle on a recent visit to the market, only to see it entirely empty, felt like a real SHTF moment for me. SHTF being a prepper term for you know what hits the fan. The store attendant quickly assured me that the freezer was simply broken. But with all the headlines bombarding us these days about global famine, supply chain shortages, recession, power outages, and war, it got me thinking about how to better prep for SHTF. It feels like the world is falling apart these days, and that we're heading toward the apocalypse with the clock ticking closer to midnight. Giving up, however, is not an option, and that is why we prep. Welcome to the Plebeian Farmer, where we talk about prepping, homesteading, and DIY. I'm your host, James. So, here are 9 ways to prep now for SHTF. Number 1. Learn survival growing. What happens if the stores do run out of food, as world leaders have warned us? In past times of crisis, people relied on subsistence farming, or growing their own food to survive. Now is a great time to start a garden. Growing food doesn't require a lot of land, with options like vertical gardening. It doesn't even require land at all. There are urban homesteaders who grow food in their apartments near a south-facing window or even in their basements under grow lights. There are several options for survival growing too. Microgreens are a great survival crop, with some varieties being ready for harvest in as little as a week. They're packed full of nutrients too. All you need to grow them are grow trays, growing media, seeds, and water. I have a video linked below on how to grow them. Container gardening is another great option for homesteaders living in the city and suburbs. You can grow potatoes, corn, tomatoes, lettuce, onions, radishes, cabbages, beans, and cauliflower in grow bags on your front steps, your porch, or even on your fire escape. And to cut down on cost, you can even use free burlap bags from your local coffee shop as grow bags. Seedlings are easy to start too. Grow them in small cells or grow trays next to a window. You can buy seeds at your local nursery or make them out of your store-bought produce, like I'm doing now with these potatoes in a process called chitting. Foraging for food is another great skill to have. Learn about the vegetation near you and what's edible, be it in your backyard or local park. There's a huge infestation of Japanese knotweed growing on my property. Knotweed is an incredibly invasive species which grows 8 inches per day in the summer and can spread more than 60 feet underground. Most homeowners hate it, though in times of famine it makes for a great source of vitamins A and C, zinc, and potassium. It also helps improve cognition, lower blood pressure, prevent heart disease, regulate insulin, mitigate symptoms of Lyme disease, and manage some forms of cancer. Though I will warn you now that it is an acquired taste. Number 2, learn to preserve food. Once you start growing your own food for survival, you're going to need to preserve it. It's good to start practicing beforehand so you're ready to go come harvest time, and you avoid making any mistakes on your future food. You can practice now on store-bought produce and save it for later when it will be even more expensive than it is now. The first method of food preservation that usually comes to mind is canning, which preserves food by removing oxygen from the food harmful microorganisms feed off of for their growth. You can find canners online for affordable prices too. To can food, you will need either a water bath canner or pressure canner, along with mason jars, lids, tongs, and a canning rack. Other methods for preserving food include fermentation, dehydration, salting, and freezing. Number 3, learn self-defense. These are dangerous times, and learning self-defense is imperative. For many, bearing arms is the first choice for self-defense. Attending a class on gun safety can be very helpful, even for those who don't plan on becoming gun owners, as you never know if you'll be in a situation one day where you'll need to be able to handle a gun. A gun safety class will educate you on the different types of guns, how to properly handle a gun, the laws around guns, and more. Guns are a hot button political issue, and for those who oppose gun ownership, there are other methods of self defense: archery, pepper spray, switchblades, shuriken, martial arts. What matters most is learning a form of self defense, as it could save your life. Number 4, take care of your mental health. The last few years have had a devastating impact on our collective psychological well being. Social isolation, economic uncertainty, death, civil unrest. These events have increased anxiety, depression, grief, and anger. We are now seeing the aftermath with increases in substance abuse, suicide, and mass violence. Feeling anxious is a normal response when living in turbulent times like these. Anxiety can motivate us to act, prepare, and make important life changes. Anxiety can also cause us to decompensate. We must learn to properly channel anxiety, so it is a productive force rather than a destructive one. Tending to your mental health is an essential part of prepping, as you are better able to handle a crisis when not overcome with fear. Meditation is one way to help bring about a sense of inner peace. Regular meditation helps decrease cortisol, the stress hormone, which is released during threatening situations. Meditation also helps improve our overall mood, fights off depression, increases clarity of mind, improves memory, improves sleep, and helps decrease our blood pressure. Mindfulness also helps us be aware of the present moment, which is beneficial during events requiring situational awareness. And if meditation is not for you, find something else that will help you feel grounded. Number 5, DIY. DIY has become very popular in recent years. Do-it-yourself projects range from upcycling furniture to renovating your home, though that's not the type of DIY we are talking about here. When it comes to prepping, DIY skills are essential for a SHTF situation. In times of crisis, you won't have all the essential consumer goods and amenities we take for granted now, and we will need to learn how to improvise. Homesteaders engage in all different types of DIY projects, such as making your own toiletries like toothpaste. Toothpaste is easy to make, by the way. The ingredients needed include coconut oil, baking soda, water, and peppermint extract. Other DIY projects for preppers and homesteaders include making your own sun oven, herbal medicine, compost, rainwater catchment, and beer. The last one being a fun activity to do with friends. Number 6, stockpile. If the last few years showed us anything, it's that supply chains are fragile. For this reason, it's a good idea to put extra supplies aside. Now is the time to stock up. With inflation and supply chain issues, consumer goods are becoming more expensive and scarce, and that will only worsen in the future. Buy essential goods now and put aside what you will need and may not be able to readily purchase down the line. Stock up on paper goods, seeds, grains, batteries, medicine, fertilizer, tools for farming and hunting like fishing poles. Prepare also for possible grid failure issues like power outages. Water bricks are a good way to store water. Sun ovens and fire pits are good for cooking. Stockpiling can sound overwhelming, especially in difficult economic times like this, when so many people are suffering and barely able to stay afloat financially. But stocking up doesn't have to happen overnight. It also doesn't have to break the bank. Get 1 or 2 extra items to put aside each time you go to the grocery store, like a bag of grains or package of batteries. Also, look for free or cheaper items on websites like Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, and freecycle.com. And last, pool resources with a family member or good friend so that both of you can share whatever items you will both need in a SHTF situation. Number 7. Bug out plan. Prepping and homesteading are primarily focused on fortifying your home and turning your home into a place of production rather than just consumption. But what if you have to leave your home due to a wildfire, hurricane, tornado, or civil unrest? This is where a bug out plan comes handy. Your bug out plan includes where you will go, how you will get there, and what you'll need to bring with you. A bug out bag is traditionally meant for a 72-hour emergency and includes all the things you would need to survive, from food to tent to clothing, first aid to weaponry. Personally, I like to also keep a bag of supplies in my car in case of a 24-hour emergency, like say I get stuck in a snowstorm on my commute home from work. Number 8. Make hard copies. The internet is a wonderful thing, providing us with unlimited amounts of information at our fingertips. It's how you're watching this video now. But what if it's not available due to power outages when you need it the most? Print out information now you will need to know down the line and keep it in a binder. Information like how to change your oil or how to properly dispose of human waste if the grid collapses. Watch videos and take notes on water purification and building emergency shelter. Buy books on gardening, first aid, and butchering meat. A lot of this sounds extreme, and the reality is you will probably not need to know all of these skills in the next week or so. Things tend to decay rather than collapse into a Mad Max situation overnight, so you don't have to be a survivalist jack of all trades right away. But it's still better to be over-prepared than to be caught off guard in a time of crisis. Number 9. Build your network. Now is the time to get involved in a larger community. In the end, you'll never have everything, know everything, or be able to do everything on your own. And if it's just you against the world, the odds sadly are in the favor of the world. And that is why community is one of the most important survivalist tools. Subscribe to prepping, homesteading, and DIY YouTube channels to learn and be part of an online community. Last summer, I visited an eco-village in the Midwest and attended a permaculture certification course in the South. And these experiences showed me how much we can accomplish when we work together, be it with farming in a communal setting, or be it from learning knowledge from the experiences of others. If we do end up in a SHTF situation, we are going to need help. Build your network now, or what preppers call a MAG, Mutual Assistance Group. When creating your MAG, think about who can help during an emergency, who has knowledge you can benefit from, and what do you have to offer the group. When building your network, think about all the essential things we will need: safety, agriculture, animal husbandry, medical help, carpentry, defense. Think about who you will trade with, since none of us will ever be truly self-sufficient. Maybe you'll have honey or eggs to trade with someone who grows wheat. Now is a good time to get to know your neighbors. Now is the time to attend meetups and workshops to meet others involved in the prepping community. If we are heading into an economic depression, like many are predicting, we need to think about how we will survive. Many will be hurt economically, and some will lose their homes. Intergenerational and communal living might become necessary with families moving back home or friends becoming housemates, helping to pull in resources. So, now that we've discussed the ways you can start prepping, think about which steps you would like to take now and get your plan ready. If interested in more survivalist tips, please check out my blog, The Plebeian Farmer, on Substack.com, where we talk about prepping, homesteading, DIY, and health. Thank you, and stay well.